do with the Secret 7 in the mornings a lot of times, especially when it's cool, is we'll bring it out here and we'll set it in the sun. That's why we put the black lid on the bait, and you can't believe how much warmth that black lid sends into that bucket, and that bait is a lot easier to stir and it's a lot easier to work with, especially on cool mornings. Now in the summer, you're not going to notice this near as much as you are through the spring months, early summer months, and fall months, but that's a little trick. Make sure you set that stuff right out in the sun, even when you're traveling with your boat, or you put it on the tailgate of your truck, or whatever it is you're doing. So I've got the bait setting out here in the sun this morning, and we're going to go stir it up here in just a little bit. Hey everybody, it's Jeff Williams with Team Catfish. I'm going to talk to you today about what do you do when you get a brand new jug of Secret 7. You either get a half gallon or you get a pint. Now, we make Secret 7 for people to fish in Texas, and they got to fish all the way up to Wisconsin. And the climate is considerably different from location to location. But one thing about the Secret 7 is you can always add a little bit of oil or a little bit of flour to it, depending on the consistency that you want. The Secret 7 is pretty much built to be pretty sticky, but today we're here right after a cold front. We've got a cold north wind blowing. We are here in Oklahoma, but the weather's not much over 60 degrees today, and my bait is going to be pretty stiff. Now, the Secret 7 can range in colors from a darker brown like this, to a lighter color like this one. Okay, nothing has changed in our ingredients. It's just a matter of what cheese we used when we built the bait. Secret 7 is like all the other manufactured baits on the market. The majority of the product in here is cheese. You know, different colored cheeses ultimately have different colored bait, so don't worry if it's a little browner one time or a little bit lighter colored. Now, compliments of good old Lowe's, we have a paint stick. Okay, now what I do when I start my bait, I start using my bait, when it's really hot outside, you're not going to have to worry about this, but when it's cool like it is today, I've got my wife and my two boys with me, and we're going to do some fishing up here in this this flooded timber. We got a lot of runoff right now, but what do I do when I get started if my bait's a little bit stiffer than I like? Now, this bait is pretty stiff, okay, compared to what it's going to be like in the summertime. The summertime, it's going to be quite a bit looser than this. Okay, now some people say that this bait right here is a little bit grainy or a little bit like cookie dough. Now, it's not really smooth in texture, and the more you stir it, the better it'll get, because it's really cool out right now. Remember, this is a cheese-based product, and the warmer the cheese is, the smoother and creamier it's going to be. Now, this product over here, it's a little bit softer, but again, that is just because the cheese was just a little bit different when we made the bait. That's the only thing. Nothing's changed. Our waterproofing agents, our fish attractants, nothing has changed between this bait and this bait. It's just a different style of cheese that the manufacturer used. Now, what I like to do on bait like this that's a little bit stiffer, and guys, don't grab this out of your wife's cupboard unless you ask. Is this okay if I use this, baby cakes?
Well, this time.
Okay, all right. Now, what I like to do is just take a little bottle. This is all you need to take with you. You don't need to pack this big thing around. Your wife will thump you in the head if you take it out of the cupboard anyway. So I'm just going to put a little bit in here, and this is what I'm going to take with me. And when I need to add a little bit of oil to my bait, I'll have this little water bottle here. We all got all these little bitty old extra water bottles laying all over everywhere. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to take just a few ounces of this, and I'm going to mix it in with my bait. Not very much. Now, this isn't going to absorb the oil until I start stirring it in there. And boy, you just don't need very much to make this bait really sticky and really creamy Again, if it's cold outside, if it's warm outside or hot outside, you don't want to do this. The bait will be just fine. And I don't mix the whole tub of it up. I just mix maybe the top 2 or 3 inches of it up, and you can see how it's starting to, just that little bit of oil made this bait where it's really creamy now. It kind of lost the graininess, or it lost that grainy texture that some people say it has when it's cool outside. It's cool out right now, isn't it, baby cakes?
Pretty cool.
Is it cool out, boys?
Yeah.
Okay, they got their pants on, their life jackets. She's got a black hoodie on, and it's not really warm. But I can promise you right now, just by mixing that little bit of oil in and stirring that up like that, that my Secret 7 bait is ready to use. Now we're gonna fish today, and this is our 5/0 double action catfish hook, and I've cut our dead red dip tube into a couple chunks, and I'm gonna put this down in here. Now whether you use the dip tube when it is and it's regular form, long and skinny, or you use our mini furry thing bait holder, this is how I like to load my dip tube. Okay, after my bait is stirred up and it's soft and sticky, I push it down in there, and then I take my paddle and I just smooth it over, packing those holes up. It's not a hard process, but I do like to smooth that in there, okay? So that bait is smooth now, and then I pull this out, and that's really about all you need. If that's not as much bait as you want, put it back in there, smooth it out again, pull a bigger glob out. Now, I want you to notice how smooth the texture is on this bait. It looks very soft and very smooth. If this bait is really jagged and rough on the edges, when you're in current like we got right now, that current will pull that bait off there a lot faster than it is when it's soft and creamy and smooth like that. So that's just another tip we have about using the Secret 7. So next time you get your brand new half gallon or pint of Secret 7, make sure you have a little bit of oil with you if it's cool. And the other side of this is, if you're in Texas or Louisiana or southern Oklahoma or somewhere where it gets really hot, sometimes you can mix just a little bit of cornstarch or a little bit of flour in the Secret 7 to bring it back the other way if it's just a little bit too runny for you. So those are some tips from teamcatfish.com. Okay, one more thing I wanted to throw into the mix here when we're talking about the Secret 7 is how it performs underneath the water. Now, this isn't a bait that you're going to throw out and you're going to reel it all back in every time. It's just not going to happen. The Secret 7 is sticky, but it's made to dissolve under the water, and it's made to leave a scent trail. It's made to leave a chum trail like we're in the current right now. I want some of that Secret 7 coming off there, going down the river, but between the furry thing bait holder and our dead red dip tubes or our easy load tubes of any kind, there's going to be enough bait left in that bait holder for the catfish to find it when they follow that scent trail up and get it. It works the same way with the wind out on the lakes. That's why a lot of people fish in shallow water out on the lakes, is because they use that wind as current, and that wind pushes that scent across the flats or the points or whatever it is you're fishing. So those are some more tips. Now, remember, when you throw the Secret 7 out, a little bit of it's going to break off. When it goes down and it hits the water, some of it's going to break off. I like to think of that as a scent explosion. I like to think of that as a lot of scent going into the water at one time. The bait's going to sink, a little bit's going to come off when it sinks, and then while it's sitting there in the current or it's sitting there in the lake, it's going to be dissolving and breaking off. And then when you reel it up against the current or in the water, the majority of the rest of the bait is going to come off at that time. Now, I want to throw that in there because a lot of people think you throw it out and it all comes back in, and that's not how good dip bait really works. So that's another tip from teamcatfish.com. Put the half ton on him.
Holy moly! Is that the one?
Keep that sucker!
We're going to keep that sucker.